And what do you have anything to? I would like you to sort of articulate and sort of share about what you're doing in this area.
Well, I think this challenge for the country because of our demographic profile and vocational education and skills are becoming extremely necessary other than simple paper degrees and not finding a job. It's both from a point of meeting the aspirations of the people of this country as well as not having a social problem on hand with regard to unemployment of youth. I think the scale of the problem is again very immense because of the demographic profile I talked about. And we are trying to see between reskilling and skilling how to skill 500 million people by the year 2022. I think the skills development is concentrated between 18 ministries in the central government, the state skill missions through the various state governments, and then the National Skills Development Corporation, which is a private-public initiative. So putting all of these together to make sure that we can address the challenge of a scale problem, to provide at the end of the day outcomes, namely employability and employment to our youth, or create entrepreneurships as we go along into the future. These are some of the challenges which excited me the most. But technology is going to play a very critical role, and that's where some of the angel investors and people with ideas must come to the front. Funding will be available, funding is available, debt funding is available. And there are various mechanisms we are putting in place within the government and the private sector. The CSR funds can also be deployed for that, which we are trying to articulate within the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. The individual companies or corporate India is also looking at it very, very seriously. The national manufacturing policy which was announced, the electronic policy which was announced, are all having a component of skill building, which the scale of the problem is in the manufacturing we want to create about 100 million jobs, and in the electronic manufacturing and electronic sector it's itself about 26 million jobs. So you can imagine the scale and the opportunity it throws up. At the same time, the worries if that does not get realized, the kind of problems we can have. So having addressed the scale problem in a company like TCS, look at a national level is the most exciting part of it, and involving public, private sector, NGOs, startups, etc.
One thing that see the whole is there a attempt to look at simplifying how to do business in India and the speed of it, because this is my experience has been that this is the most difficult place to do business in India is one of the most difficult, even if you take Africa in mind. The processes are so complex.
No. I think the simplification, what you mentioned, is the most appropriate thing. Forget even this for a moment, even in a corporate India, or the projects which we do for global customers as an organization, the kind of inefficiencies which you see are unbelievable. So simplification has got to be there, and simplification has to have a component of process re-engineering and automation behind that process re-engineering. Even in TCS, when I took over in '96 as the CEO, what I found was we had 1,200 applications for the size of that organization at that time, 4,000 people, and no data was accurate at all. Everything I got was at least 10 days old. So we re-engineered from 1,200 applications to 400 applications and digitized the whole organization. So the inefficiency that exists in every single organization is first thing. So simplification is the only way you can do it.
Simplification is the only way.
And when you go to the government, because the processes are so archaic, so to transform that it takes an enormous amount of time, because otherwise every one of us gets a different response with regard to the same transaction if it is being done by different people. But then I look at the Ministry of Corporate Affairs for digitization, the passport seva centers today that are happening, tax returns. I think you've seen the transformation with regard to simplification and what happens.
That's your. I know that you're. Are you still? I want to move to the personal side of you.
Yeah.
Still jog early in the morning or walk?
Yes, I still irritate my wife by getting up at 4:35. But I think I go for a walk by about 6 or 6:30, and at least an hour.
That's me, hour. And you maintain that right through your travel and everything?
Yeah.
That's a very important thing that, with his busy schedule, his walks I have seen that time and even now also. And, early morning is a very useful thing that I learned from Ram. Early in the morning. I know I irritate Rajni also for that, but that's the way it is. Now, Mala, would you want to come on stage? So, Mala is here, Ram's wife. I've never seen her not cheerful. Whatever it is. We've had situations, and I'm sure many more. We arrive at home.
Yeah.
So, you arrive at home, unscheduled, unannounced, and she's there with the food, choicest food, and sometimes, whenever you go, in whatever form, she's always participating in the discussion, and always cheerful. Never, ever have I seen Mala worried or something like that. What's the secret, Mala, behind that?
I have to think about that. Because I've never really thought in those terms. But I think God has been good, and I've always enjoyed what I was doing. And Ram has given me that space to be what I am. And I think it's just, what shall I say? I feel that it is very important to be content wherever you are, whether it's a one-bedroom flat in Chembur or wherever I am. Just now.
It's very, very, very important. But you will just wait for Ram to come back. And this is, maybe I'm sort of, we stayed in $6 per night hotels, and today Ram takes a corporate jet around the world, but the person is still the same. And there's a lot that goes underneath it in terms of, how you look at things. And I think that's probably one of the reasons for, good things that have come for TCS from here. So people who have built TCS haven't changed from the time it was, few hundred people to 250,000 or 300,000 people today. That's, Mala, you want to talk about Tarun? Tarun is...
Don't start me on that.
I'll stop. He's their son. Tarun is a professor at Oxford in financial economics.
He's a professor, he's told me to tell everybody, international finance.
International.
Amma, you don't understand, so please say international finance.
So I've seen Tarun as a 5-year, 6-year-old way back in '79 when Ram and Mala were in US, and from there he's grown to a very fine young man. And married, you have a grandchild?
Yes. 2-year-old.
We have to let the man come back now, right?
Yes, because I don't know about this part of his life. This is before I was born.
The next animation is you. This is Ram at Yosemite, UCLA. He's did his master's from UCLA. He did his graduation from Hansraj College and then postgrad from Indian Institute of Science. So I'm going to ask him about that part of his life. Ram, I'm taking you back. So we talked about, this whole journey from simple $6 a night motels to corporate jets today. And the constant is all of, you're still the same person. I haven't seen much change in you from that perspective.
I would still like to come to your place and have the same food.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time in US together, when I went to US for business development, I was plucked out of nowhere. I was pretty happy doing my technical work and thrown into it, and I met Ram. He explained a few things, but I went to Mr. Kohli's office in